Oh, okay.
Why do we see a man?
He's on the video.
Good evening, welcome everyone. Calling this meeting to order. And the first thing I need to do is open the meeting and call for nomination. Oath of office? I have to call the oath of office to elect new elected board. So do you want me to call the names? I think Mr. Lazar first.
I, David,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of
trustee of the Board of Education
trustee of the Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Nagarati?
Nagarachi. I, Joseph Nagarachi,
I, Joseph Magarachi,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee of the Westchester Board of Education. That I will faithfully discharge the duties
That I will faithfully discharge the duties
of trustee of the West Hempstead Board of Education
as trustee of the West Hempstead Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I would like a nomination for president.
I'll nominate Karen Brown.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Mrs. Brome. I guess I can put the gavel back.
Yeah.
Blood replenishment.
I know.
You could have acceptance.
I, Karen Rose,
I, Karen Brown,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly
that I
swear
will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of
and
New
the
York,
Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully
and that I
discharge
will faithfully discharge the duties
of
President
President of the West
of the West Hempstead School
According to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Yeah.
That is my.
That was.
At this time, I need a nomination for the office of Vice President.
I nominate Kirk Rockensies.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. I, Kurt Rossi,
I, Kurt Rockensies,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
I will faithfully discharge the duties of
Vice President of the West Hempstead Board of Education
Vice President of the West Hempstead Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Should we like morning?
Sure, why not? Good evening.
I
Teresa Brilliant,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of district clerk
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of district
according to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. I didn't mark it.
We can fold this back.
We were 16. Oh, okay. No, 31 being to one's underneath it, so can I make it? Okay, yeah, forget it. I guess you. I guess you. Yeah. Forget. So, oh, you want to take that photo first? All right, sorry, guys, we have, just bear with us 2 minutes. We have to take a family photo, yes. Yeah, because we couldn't. Where do you want us to go? We'll stand here like this, in the front.
Yeah, in front of the
Want to
table.
go
I think
in
in
front?
front of it. Yeah.
On the stand.
See? 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 See what I'm saying?
No, you just should. So I'll stand in front of you because I'm short. How's that? I don't have a picture, but it doesn't matter.
It means to get it back like we like to do it.
Yeah. For the website.
I should plug it in.
Oh, my God, just. Cheers.
Prize with it.
The first order of business this evening is our reorganizational meeting, which obviously we've already started. We're going to appoint Teresa now as district clerk, even though we just were. So, I just need everybody in agreement for the appointments under D, which is, district clerk, who is Teresa Bryant, same as last year. Number 2, which is deputy district clerk, will not be Nabila Habibullah. She no longer works here. It will be Christine Greco, who is the superintendent's secretary. Christine, sitting in front of the room. Yeah, you can swear her in. Do a lot of swearing.
I, Christine Greco,
I solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of deputy district clerk
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of Deputy District Clerk
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
When I get to the end, right? Well, it's one time. Oops. District treasurer will be James Igo, which we know is a contracted position. James will get his oath of office tomorrow in district by Teresa. Our deputy district treasurer is Gina Gandolfo. Our board counsel is Gercio and Gercio. Director of School Health Services is Dr. Schoenfeld. As we know, our external auditor from about 15 minutes ago is Colin Danowski, if anybody hasn't met Ellen yet. Our architect is not Tetra Tech, it's BBS. Our claims auditor is Michael T. Kearns. Our internal auditor is still Sereni and Associates. Financial advisory services is capital market advisors. Our records management officer is Michelle Lambo-Marin. Our records access officer is Teresa Bryant. That's a function of the district clerk. So. Our purchasing agent will not be Joel Press. It will be Brian Phillips, who is our new assistant superintendent for finance and operations. Our deputy purchasing agent will be Miss Riley. Our HERA compliance officer is Mr. Pete Mayo, who is our facilities director. Bill Warsack is no longer with us. If you're not taking notes, I can send you a copy later. Our chief emergency officers remain Mr. Reaman and Miss Riley. Our appointment for Dignity for All Students Acts are all of our school principals, our main principals. So Ms. Tripp would no longer be in this mix. It would be Dr. Minicozy added to it. I don't want to go too fast. Everybody's following me. The book room supervisor is Vince Fleck. Miss Riley and Mr. Phillips are our hearing officers. Our Title IX officers are, we don't use names here because it's always the assistant superintendent for business and the assistant superintendent for curriculum, so we leave it at that. Our bond counsel is Hawkins Delafield. Kurt, last year you took on the role of advocacy liaison with NISBA. Do you want to retain that or do you want to keep it? Okay. Our district level DASA coordinator is Miss Riley. Again, our residency officers are the assistant superintendent for business and the assistant superintendent for curriculum. It's really so we never have to change. We never have to reappoint if somebody goes. Our homeless liaisons are our directors of PPS. So it's Miss Bridget Karras and Miss Patricia Scolo. Our athletic director, Mr. Mistretta, is our wellness coordinator. Our transition liaison is Patricia Scolo. Number 29, our data privacy trainee is currently Nabila Habibullah. We're going to leave her in that position right now, even though she's leaving the district at the end of the month, because anything that takes place between now and then, we need her to be in. We will amend that appointment moving forward when we get a new person in that position. So we're going to move forward to the standing committees, which are like building and grounds and stuff like that. That's the stuff that we do. So building and grounds, again, those are building inspections that we do prior to the start of the school year. It's usually the last 10 days or so prior to the start of the school year. So we split up the buildings accordingly. Obviously, Vinny is in.
Take Vinny. I'll take Vinny's.
No, I don't want you to take Vinny's. We board members that can take. So before I move on to adding and subtracting, does anybody here do a building they would like to do a different building? Is there a building that you would like to go into that you haven't done an inspection in?
Chestnut.
You want to go to Chestnut? Okay. So Joe, we'll go to Chestnut. Andrea, do you want to stay at Chestnut?
Since Joe, yeah.
Fires and Andrea, you have Cornwall Avenue. You're okay with staying there? Okay, so we're gonna split up the rest of them. So I'm currently at Delaney with Vinny, who's no longer obviously there. Mr. Lazar, would you like to go to Gersh? It's the Gersh building.
That's fine. Very sneaky. We're going on.
Yeah,
It's fun up there.
it's not pretty.
I'll bring my rope.
Mr. Blash, you have George Washington. You're okay with that building?
I think I mentioned that.
Well,
I'm okay with the
yeah.
building, but,
Okay.
okay.
Well, and sometimes it's 10 days. I don't know when that's gonna be, but.
Yeah.
And Kurt, if you're all right, we'll just stay at the secondary school. So nobody else has any changes that they want to make in regard to that?
So
Our
Karen,
school
if-
direct one more.
if George Washington, then only one trustee would have to do the whole building?
No,
Like Mr.
sometimes,
Glass isn't here?
sometimes people pick up,
Like I
we've
picked
done
up-
that in the past
I
where
picked up
people
a
have
school
picked
last
up a
year.
school.
Okay, thank you.
We have liaisons to the community, between the community and the private school. No, let me do that again. We have community and private school liaison. So it's currently myself, Andrea, and Mr. Blass. Byers, you're the alternate. Does anybody want to not stay on that committee? We only really have one private school left in the community that we meet with when their board asks to meet. But does anybody not want to be on that committee? We're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Byers, you're okay with being the alternate?
Sure.
Okay. The liaisons to all the community organizations, that means PTAs, PTSAs, SEPTA, Chamber of Commerce, any of those, Lions Club, any of that. That's a committee of the whole. So that's the whole board. So at any point, we could send somebody to a meeting if we need to send somebody to the meeting. Audit committee, we already know, is a committee of the whole and 2 community residents. We met the 2 community residents upstairs. So we know who their term goes through the end of the year, so that they're here for the end of the audit. And then I actually think only one of them is up this year, right? And they can either reapply or somebody else in the community can apply for that.
At the end of this calendar year.
The calendar year, yeah, because the audit doesn't end until October, November.
Right.
Used to be that they were appointed for the school year, and it never made sense because they got to come to this meeting we just had, but then they weren't appointed to be here for the second meeting, which made no sense.
Right.
So we changed it to be the calendar year.
Okay.
Somewhere in your, while you were sleeping period.
I'm sleeping most of the time. Sleeping now.
Sports committee. Joe, you're the chairperson of the sports committee. You want to stay that way?
Yeah.
Okay. Kurt and Andrea, I know it was a stupid question. I didn't. Here you go. Kurt and Andrea are on that committee. Do you guys want to stay on that committee?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And Vinny was the alternate. Is there somebody that wants to be the alternate on that committee? Mr. Lazario? That committee is when, like, Joe will meet with the outside agencies that come in, not outside agencies, outside teams that come in and use the fields. So it goes over some kind of regulations, or if they have any gripes to have, easier than having to try to come to a board meeting. Policy subcommittee, Andrea, you chair that committee. Do you want to retain that, or?
I can step down if somebody else would like it. It doesn't matter to me. Okay, I'll stay.
You didn't see me jumping at the bit there.
Well, there's new ones that, I figured I'd give the chance, but yes, I'll happily stay on it. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm on that committee. Joe, you're on that committee. Do you want to stay on that committee, or do you want to, does anybody else want to sit on that committee? You'll take it? Dave?
Did you skip over health and safety?
Oh, no, that's me and you. I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
did
right.
skip us.
Just want to make sure.
I did.
Were you asleep? Were you sleeping
I
again?
was asleep at the wheel. Health and safety liaisons are myself, and you. And that's a meeting with Mr. Mayo when he has one. So, you want to stay
Happy
on
to,
it?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Unless David or Bert want to do it. Yeah, I'm happy. Okay.
Our evaluation committee, which is the committee that evaluates the superintendent, is a committee of the whole, except for when you come on at the, and obviously at the beginning of the year, you don't evaluate that year, you evaluate the year after. I want to amend this agenda that we have to add 31 here, that was 30. I would like to add 31 to include a district liaison to the bond project. So I get it right. And appoint Vinnie Tropia to that position.
It's not open.
I think- We're gonna have to do that
I'll look.
again, yeah, but we have to motion to amend the agenda as, our designations of signatory are the treasurers and the deputy treasurer. Our designation of depositories is the banks that we utilize and our paying agents. We had this week. Our district newspapers, again, down at the bottom. Our mileage rate for vehicles, when used on school business is the standard IRS mileage rate. And petty cash authorization is $100 in each building, and the administrative. That's it. So at this point, I need a motion to amend the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
So David moved it, Joe seconded. And to accept the appointments as done. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's passed. So everything on the reorg. Did you get that title, Teresa? But I wrote it down. Yes, under that section. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna adjourn the reorg meeting and move into the regular meeting at this time. I have to change my agenda. Hold on. I'm gonna go by, so I need a motion to move dockets 3-1 and 3-2.
So moved. Second.
Any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I need a motion to move docket 3-3.
So moved. Second.
Yeah. Joe seconded it. Any questions? First,
Okay, so I just had a general question on this. I don't want to affect my voting on it. We get a lot of great information from the business office, and I just want to, like, some things are, I want to make sure that they're meaningful so that even I could understand it. There's a report here called the Appropriation Status Detail by Report through the end of May. And maybe unfair to hit you with questions day 4, but let me go. But it's the big one. The very last number on the report, which says $5.7 million of available funds, albeit this report is through May, but I think it's meant to be available funds really at the end of the year or
That's available, it's year to date.
the year to date. Okay, because it takes into consideration the expense and the encumbered.
Correct.
So the encumbered hasn't been expensed yet, right?
It's, quite frankly, it's like, could be reserved into a purchase order, could be sitting aside for payroll purposes.
Right. So that could be June expenditures.
Those were projected expenditures probably for the last 30-day period.
Right, so once you consider all that, it still says that we have 5.7 million more to go this year available.
That's available, but there's probably purchases done throughout the month of June that's not being encumbered yet.
Okay, do we have a rough estimate what that might be? Or-
Exactly, no. I would have to go back and check what was spent so far, but there's also, based on the audit, there's also work that has to be done after June 30th to go through it. It won't be 5.7, be I think much lower.
Okay, whatever that number is, that will ultimately represent the extent to which we've underspent the budget this year.
That'd be how much it's not spent.
Of the budget, right.
Appropriate fund balance.
Does that necessarily mean that we have a surplus? I don't think so.
No, but we're quite frankly, we're in a deficit.
We're gonna be in deficit anyway. Fair enough. Okay, so that was basically just one question information. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was it? Okay. Very good for day 2.
I know.
I was easy on it.
I thought you were gonna get to like 12.
No. He's into the job.
Okay, so, any other questions on that docket? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, and I.
Motion passes. I didn't see you.
Sorry.
I usually only see you say no. I need a motion to move docket 3-4.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. There's no report of committees. Let's see. Mr. Return.
Good evening. I hope everyone's doing well and staying healthy as we begin another year of dedicated service to our esteemed educational institution. As superintendent, I'm pleased to share our most recent accomplishments, challenges, and thoughts for the upcoming academic term. Start off with academic achievements. Improved standardized test scores. Our schools have demonstrated solid progress in standardized test scores across various grade levels, reflecting our students' and teachers' hard work and dedication. Graduation rates. I'm delighted to inform the board that our in-district graduation rate last year was 95%, reflecting our commitment to fostering a supportive environment that nurtures student success. This is the third consecutive year of 95% or higher. College acceptance. Many of our graduating seniors received acceptance letters from renowned colleges and universities highlighting the effectiveness of our college readiness program. These include, but are not limited to, Yale, 2x2, MIT, which was named the #1 university in the world, and BU, to name just a few. Colgate.
Not that they're prejudiced or anything.
I was gonna do that, trying to get in trouble later, but jokes again. Curriculum instruction. We have successfully implemented several innovative programs to enhance student engagement and foster critical thinking skills. These initiatives include integrated project-based learning, STEAM, stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, and personalized learning approaches. Our district has prioritized ongoing PD opportunities for our faculty, enabling them to stay updated with the latest teaching methodologies, technology integration, and student-centered instructional practice. We continue to review and revise our curriculum to align with state standards, ensuring our students receive a well-rounded education that prepares them for future challenges. The infrastructure and facilities. We have made substantial progress in integrating technology into our classrooms over the past decade, providing students access to cutting-edge tools and resources that enhance their learning experience. Over the summer, upgrades will continue to be made to our school buildings, including improved security measures, energy efficiency enhancements, and infrastructure repairs. These improvements provide our students and staff with a safe and conducive learning environment. And I'd like to thank both Mr. Fleck and in particular Mr. Mayo for leading the charge. A great group of students this year helping out as well. So looking forward to all the great things that we'll see come September. Community engagements. We have actively engaged parents and guardians through regular communication, parent-teacher conferences, and workshops, fostering a strong partnership between home and school. We have established strategic partnerships with local businesses, organizations, and higher education institutions, providing our students with unique internships, mentor programs, and career exploration opportunities. I'd like to give a shout out to the VP, Mr. Rockensees, who in his real job has worked out some opportunities for our high school age students to look for future employment and get involved with the town. Challenges and goals. As we continue to navigate the lingering effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, our primary focus remains on supporting the social and emotional well-being of our students and staff while addressing learning loss and implementing effective instruction. And remain committed to fostering an inclusive and equitable educational environment, focusing on closing the aspiration gap and ensuring all students have equal access to high-quality education. And with limited resources, we will continue implementing cost-effective measures, exploring grant opportunities, and advocating for increased funding to support educational programs and initiatives. And on that note, I'd like to thank Ms. Riley and Dr. Lisa Minicozy, who just wrote another grant for the TRP grant, which is a teacher residency program, which if they're successful in obtaining, which I'm sure they will be, will secure approximately $300,000 in funds to expand our teacher residency program. I want to thank the Board of Education for their support and guidance. Together, we will build upon our past achievements and navigate the challenges ahead, ensuring our students receive the best education possible. I look forward to collaborating with each of you throughout the year as we strive to provide exceptional educational experience for all.
Thank you. Ms. Merle, I see you in the background back there. Just,
No, I
I
had
don't,
nothing to say.
I didn't know if PTSA or anybody had anything to
I
say.
did say when you said no committee report, I said, well, maybe I had something to say, but I really don't.
Okay,
Please join the PTA, PTSA, et cetera.
Et cetera. agreed. See, you had something to say.
It makes a huge difference. It is a fundraiser for all of us, and we will not hunt you down and beg you to do anything. We just would like your $10, although we'd like to help you.
Nice.
Please join in any way, shape, or form.
She's lying. We've been there.
Get the emails.
It is the only way.
Yes, it's the only way to get the emails about events that take place for PTA, PTSA, and or SEPTA. So please, it is definitely beneficial to join at the beginning of the year. The board definitely, tries to have 100%, inclusion in both PTA, PTSA, and SEPTA. With that, we've now reached the period for district residents or employees of the district to address the board. This period will be 20 minutes at length and will allow for 3 minutes of non-confidential agenda items per person if necessary. If you're going to ask a question and you're in the virtual audience at this time, please raise your hand. And if you are in the public audience, please raise your hand as well. If I call on you, please identify yourself when called upon. Mrs. Hafner?
Sure. Hi, Barbara Hafner, resident and educator. I have a question on dockets 3-33 and 3-5 because they're related. Could you explain what the 21st Century Grant Program is?
This is Hafner. The 21st Century Grant is a learning grant that we were awarded by NICED, and that provides additional services to our students in ELA and mathematics after school, along with the social emotional enrichment.
Is it in all buildings? Is it
Yes.
just at all levels, K through 12?
It can be open to K through 12. We've been growing it, and at the moment it's K to 8, and we're expanding it as we move forward. The grant is 5 years in length.
Is this our first year
Yes.
doing this grant?
Yes.
And I noticed that you have quite an extensive appointments for that at
Yes.
$250 a day. Are these people all certified educators?
Some are, some of them are students that we partner with from Adelphi that have different pathways in STEM. And some of them are teachers outside of district.
So they are all fingerprinted to work in the
Yes.
school district?
Yep.
Including the students?
Yes.
I get myself all. Mrs. Magarachi?
Lorraine Magarachi, resident. I gotta be honest, I'm very concerned about our district and the way it's going. I know some people say, yay, the budget passed. It's over. It's not. I'm very concerned about some board members that are publicly going against the board that they wanted to join and our district. When a board member just recently won, and I spoke to him the night of the election, and I will be honest, I was disappointed, but I still went, we spoke. And the gentleman said to me, how could you say I was against the budget? I supported the budget. Meanwhile, I have a flyer on my kitchen table still to this day with his face on it saying, vote no. No, I support the budget. Okay, you support the budget. Fast forward 2 weeks, he's against the budget. And it's not the budget and it's not the numbers, it's the board I'm going after. My no is to the board. So my no is to the district. To the district I just got elected to. Then we have another board member who's out of town a lot, so can't make events. Did not show up any PTAs, anything to support the kids or anything. And then is texting constantly during meetings. Then we have, and it's not just board members, it's also residents. And it's everybody. They make fake names, they hide behind computers, they don't have the nerve to come here and speak in person. Then I don't respect your decision or opinion in any way. Sometimes, yes, you work late, you have children, that's granted. But when it's because you don't have the nerve to show up, then you shouldn't have a say behind a screen. I want to know that all board members, not anybody singled out, that we're holding them accountable, both ethically, legally, morally, holding them, that they say they wanted to join this board to make our school district and our community better. Because before you're even sworn in, you're going against it. I have to say I'm very nervous because I give my whole heart, just like many of you up there, to this town, to this district, to these children. And if I don't have faith in you, I can't work with you. So it's going to take a lot to win faith over when you publicly put down what so many have worked so hard to build.
Thank you. Galina.
Steve Galena, resident. I have a question about when you become a new board member, what are the requirements, like required reading, or is there a courses that they have
Yes,
to take? And so
so-
how do we ensure that people are taking
So
those?
when you become a new board member, you have a year to complete board member training through New York State School Boards. So that has to be completed. And then there are other webinars and things and reading that you can do, and you get, multiple lessons from me. Unfortunately for the benefit, unfortunately for everybody here, they have to speak to me a lot. So usually the first week of being a board member is crash course, because our meeting is generally 2 days later. And then it's, okay, well, here's your questions. This is what we talk about. This is how it's supposed to be. I try to give some reading. If there's, I'm always available to help, but the best way to learn is to take the courses through New York State School Board.
Right. And so that's required.
Required is only the new school board classes are the only requirement of New York State School Boards.
Right.
But no different than the educators, there's professional development in being a school board member, and I always recommend to everybody that they take advantage of it.
Right. Thank you.
Mr. Sergeant?
I'm Sergeant Parent and President. And Mrs. Brome, a little bit earlier, you went through quite a long list of assignments and liaisons and things like that. I sit on another board through a church organization, and monthly when we meet, person in your role in that group speaks for what we refer to as the executive board, which basically would be equivalent to the 10 of you sitting up there. And part of their report shares with the rest of us the different meetings or organizations or places or whatever the case may be that executive board attended and participated in. And often that information, just sharing, Karen Brome, I went to this, Joe Magarachi, I went to that, and so on, it raises some questions that people can ask. So I was going to ask if the board would consider for the future, including attendance and participation and liaison work with the various organizations and groups as part of this board meeting, so that the community can see what's being done, what groups are being reached out to and worked with, so that we can ask either, as I am now, or privately, the individuals who are involved in that work. So I would just ask if you can consider that. Thank you.
Absolutely. You really want to hear me talk more?
Sure.
Just asking. I don't want to hear myself talk anymore. Do we have any other questions in the audience at this point? Mrs. Morrow?
Emily Morrow, resident. Back to the staff nurse question about the 21st Century Learning Grant. That $250 a day, that comes out of the grant
Fund.
correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mrs. Hackney, you have another question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just a thought in going on with Lorraine's comments. Is there a way for us to consider, since we were divided when we first started, not everybody, but we were divided, and this was a pretty ugly budget vote, the second time around especially, that we figure out a way to bring our community together. Yeah, add that to another meeting, I get it. A community event, maybe something at Hempstead Lake State Park on a Sunday afternoon, something. I mean, I sat on the Strategic Planning Council years ago, and we had people from all over the community participate to discuss how to not only improve our schools and bring great things to our schools, but to bring our members of our community together, public and private schools. So I'm hoping that we can figure out a way to do that, to mend fences, to grow, and to learn from each other, and make this the best place that anybody wants to live in.
I'd second that. I do know that there was conversation amongst some community members about doing something like that. Unfortunately, not that I wouldn't do it as board, but I don't think it's a function of the board, because then if we do it that way, we have to hold it as a meeting, and I don't think we want to do that. I think it really wants to be more informal and have conversations amongst everybody. So that being said, I would happily help anybody. I've said it before. I think that the cutting each other down has to stop. At some point, we have to be able to learn how to get along, and I don't think that there are that many people. I just think people are keyboard warriors. I think the fighting is going on behind the keyboards. And if you sat down and had a conversation, I had a lovely conversation with a gentleman that day that I'd never met before, but I knew his face. And I waited for him to come that day because I wanted to answer a question that he had asked. And so I specifically waited for that gentleman to come, and I stared at people for his face. And he was like, I can't believe you knew who it was. And I was like, I was waiting for you. I think those are the things we have to do. We have to have more conversations and get more people involved. So I completely agree with you. Do we have any other questions before we move forward? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Nancy, Karen. As far as board members attending meetings virtually, is that here to stay or is there like a deadline to that?
That's a state regulation.
Forever now?
It's been it was that way prior to COVID. Dependent upon the situation, it is a state regulation that if a board member is going to be out of town and wants to attend the meeting virtually, I mean, if they're out of town and they just want to be in the audience and not vote, they can attend virtually and not have to post their location. If a board member is out of town and wants to attend the meeting as a board member, as a voting board member, their location has to be posted as public so that, I don't know, if you're all in Disney together and that person wants to go from, the Contemporary to Bay Lake Tower and sit in that meeting, they can. So it has to, that's just the way it is. I mean, unless the governor changes that regulation.
Can I ask a question about that? Is there any indication that the state is going to change that now that COVID is done?
I definitely am not saying.
That regulation was in effect long before COVID.
They, in fact, expanded the ability, to refer other stuff like that.
Lorraine, you had another question?
Yeah, is there, a number of meetings that you're allowed to not be at? Like, are you considered a non-resident if you have two residents and one is out of state for numerous months at a time? Like, how are you considered a West Hempstead resident?
You have to live here for more than 50% of the time. As far as I know.
Pay taxes.
Ms. Brown? Can I make-
Yes, sir.
make a comment? I want to go back to what Mrs. Hammond was speaking about, Mrs. Hammond, because I really liked what she said there. Thank you very much for that. And I would suggest with the board that maybe we start trying to do some budget committee and budget workshop, budget cafes, something less formal that we include people into, that it's not just, after the first of the year and the sprint up to the finish line, but we start having these conversations ahead of time. So we can have discussions about what are our visions for the district next year, 5 years from now. Are we in support of, is our political agenda, is my agenda as a sitting board member, one to bring down the budget? Is that what my constituents have asked me to do? Or is my position to increase the academics and the performance of the budget at value of the school district at value? Is that what my constituents have liked me to do? And I'm using that hypothetically, using myself as an example. So I would just suggest that to Ms. Brome and to the board that there's something we could consider to do as a community, something outside of this sort of really formal parliamentary procedure where we can have some workshops around that and talk about people's ideas, and we can discuss that in a more informal but collaborative community setting.
Like
Yes,
an,
Pardon me?
like an adult ed.
Yeah, I actually had that conversation with both Mr. Reaman and Mr. Press when he was still here. I think I'm the only one that's still here. So Barbara, you were here then, when Aunt Russo was still here. And we used to do that budget cafe, and she made those placemats and whatever in the cafeteria.
School cafeteria.
So we were discussing having something like that moving forward
I think that's a good
and looking into something like that as a more formal conversation, more informal, conversations. We've reached the end of this period, but we do have another 20 minutes at the end of the meeting, so we can obviously come back to that. So I need a motion to move dockets 3-5 through 3-11. Who moved that? Oh, you guys have to use your big boy voices. Are there any questions on that portion of these?
So moved.
You're late, you know. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I need a motion to move dockets 3-12 through 3-25.
Second.
Any questions?
The motion to amend, I would like to take 318 out from that motion.
Mrs. Lazar, I didn't hear your question.
I just a motion to amend. I want to not vote on 318 for this. I just want to.
Oh, because he's asking about changing that seat. I don't,
I just
we
want to
can just have a
abstain.
conversation.
I know. I just
Right.
wanna
Oh,
abstain
you
from that.
just don't want to vote on it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't need to amend that. I'll just ask if you want to abstain from that vote.
Okay, just from that.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Oh, no, I gotta do it separate, right? Okay, so I'm gonna start over. We're gonna motion dockets 3-12 through 3-17.
So moved.
So that's so many.
Joe
Joe.
and Bert. Any questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Any motion to move docket 3-18?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll get to that. And, one abstention.
Could you explain that? What is that?
He doesn't want
He
to vote
doesn't
on it
wanna vote.
because he was not a part and we're changing the meeting and he can't be here for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can or not. I don't want to.
Okay.
But if that, just so you know, moving forward, it doesn't matter if you can be here for it or not. Because as long as we have a quorum, it's okay to vote yes to move the
That's
meeting.
fine. I just don't want people to think that I
Right,
voted
to say
for
that you
something
said to move it when you know you couldn't be,
Yep.
I get it. It's the summertime and we definitely, well, some of us take vacations. I've yet to do some. Some of them. I don't get to go on vacation. So anyway, all in favor, all abstain, that motion passed. I need a motion to move docket 3-19 through 3-25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And a motion to move dockets 3-26 to 3-31.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We have no old business, so new business would be, I need a motion to move dockets 3-3.
I just want to
What?
make sure, all the ones that we had reserved decision on at the last meeting are back on here. I don't remember specifically what the dates were and the vendors requesting for using the system, so I just want
Yes.
to clarify. they are back
The
on.
softball ones are back on the agenda, yes. I need a motion to move dockets 3-32 through 3-34. So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. For future meeting dates are on the agenda. You'll note that the calendar has us listed as having a meeting on August 15th, but that meeting has been moved to August 8th. And we've now reached the period for district residents or employees of the district to address the board. Again, this section of the board is limited to 20 minutes of non-confidential agenda items with 3 minutes maximum for each question. Mrs. Magaracci, you have a question?
Yes, Larry Magaracci, on the permits that were approved.
You got nothing.
Yeah, one of them's missing
school
off
started with
the
the-
list.
Then I will have to check it tomorrow.
Call
Just to
Pete.
call the office tomorrow and speak to
Okay.
Anna.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What, do you know which one?
Yeah, July's, August is on there, but
Well, it's because you can't play in July.
alright.
Did we not pass it last month? Oh, no, we
It
didn't.
was
You're right.
tabled,
That was the point.
But I read them. I must have missed it.
I read it.
it's tabled and now it's gone.
Yeah, so we'll check it.
I blame the
Okay.
vice president.
I blame Kurt.
I blame Kurt also, I'm just saying.
You want to make a motion to approve all that were tabled at the last meeting?
Weren't they just on here?
Was it on all but apparently the July one?
That was my point.
Well, I didn't know it was missing. I read them all.
Did you guys?
Can we, yes, can we make,
I don't want to be the bad guy.
can we make a motion to amend? I have to find the docket.
I'll just call Anna tomorrow. Look at, have a.
No, it's not June's docket. Where is it? Can we make a motion to amend 3-31?
Second.
To approve all the use of facility that we tabled at the June meeting because we were waiting to see if the budget would pass. We need a motion.
Second. Give it to David.
Okay, so Kurt and David.
It's on fire today.
Yes.
What's that?
Can I take board privilege?
And I'm sorry,
Can I take board privilege?
wait, we're going back to this. Any questions on them that we just amended? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Your name is cleared.
John, Mr. Vice President. Should be one.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lazar, what was your question?
I just wanted to take board privilege.
Okay, just so we're all aware, board privilege, we put that on in advance, but
Oh.
did you have, no, did you have a question?
I just wanted to address the board and the community for 1 second.
We don't do it, we're not, you're doing a written statement, is that what you're trying to do?
Wait, is the question done?
No, wait,
We didn't get to.
okay, we're gonna go, yeah, we'll do that at the end. I get what you're doing, hold on. Ben, you have a question, Miss?
Yes, Barb Hafner, still the resident. Just out of curiosity, when you meet as a board and you're virtual as a board member, do you also have the executive board meetings virtual as well?
Yes, they're on via speaker.
Thank you. Just curious.
Mr. Sergeant,
I'm Sergeant with Wilbur Hatton, still a resident.
if we last any longer, we might not be resident.
No, I appreciate the jokes that Kurt's expense. No,
I do too.
all seriousness, for the July dates. But I think that hits the nail right on the head with what happens when this district is faced with what we were faced with. And I think the silence and the quiet that we have had since the budget passed is indicative of what this community would really like. And that is the 7 of you, the 7 of you to agree and come together and not stand up and say one thing publicly and something else privately, but to work together. And I think the silence that we have seen is indicative of the community saying, you know what? Nobody lost anything. Everybody won. And if there needed to be any proof of this district winning, all you needed to do was be present last Sunday at the Tillis Center. And you saw a great day with some great kids who represented this district very well, because quite frankly, those graduating seniors were more respectful to people on this board than people on this board were to them during the past year. And that's what these kids are about. And that's what next year's seniors and next year's juniors and next year's sophomore keep working all the way down. That's what they deserve. They deserve the 7 of you working for them. That's why you all should be there, working for them. I don't want you to work for me. I want you to work for my kids. And that's what this community wants. And that's why you've seen the quiet time, because everybody won. Nobody lost. And I hope that all 7 of you, because I'm not going to individual and pick anybody out, but I hope all 7 of you recognize that a year from now. Thank you for hearing me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, I have one more thing.
Are you still Barbara?
So
You still live here?
This had to do with our community. So, some of the community residents, up to my block, across the street, 3 houses, and then everybody else is Liberty Water and everything heading south. Liberty Water is a private water company as opposed to West Hempstead Water. West Hempstead pays $66 for 3 months. I pay $166 for 1 month. Got the difference, public versus private. So finally, there was a commission that should have been created over a year ago, but it's finally in existence. So anybody, and there's a lot of Liberty Water people out there that are very angry, including me. July 11th is the first Town of Hempstead Liberty Water Commission meeting at the Lynbrook Public Library at 6 p.m. So if you know anybody who has Liberty Water, and all you have to do is say it and their eyeballs come out of their head, you'll know. Encourage them to attend this meeting to discuss the idea of a private water company being taken over by public water. That's it.
Thank you.
Just throwing it out there.
Why I'm happy that I moved on. I don't have Liberty Water anymore.
No, you don't. I know.
Ms. Galina.
Hi, Janina. I keep hearing a lot of tension in the room. And of course, because we went through a traumatic event with our voting. However, I think that it's really important for the board to take charge of, demystifying these surpluses. And I mean, I know I heard you say we're going to be working in a deficit. I think that information, I keep hearing we're not transparent. Like, I'm not sure what the people that are voting no really want to hear and see, aside from their taxes going down somewhat, maybe. But I really think it's important for the board to keep giving us that information about where we are in the, as we go, not coming to the end where we're all struggling to try to prove our points, but get those points proved early on and have those questions asked and from the public even, what are some of your questions about the budget? Because I was hearing things like we're not putting enough money into savings, but yet we're not a private entity to do that kind of stuff. And so I feel like those questions need to be answered all year now and not at the end. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Moving forward.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? I don't see any.
I'd like to just add, can I ask something what she said?
Yes.
Okay, and I like that, in terms of improving the understanding of what goes on. I don't like using the word misinformation. I never use it, but there is some confusion. And I think as we go through the year-end process, not just when we get to budgets, but the year-end process, what happens? Yes, expenses may be below plan. What does that mean? Revenues could be below plan. What does that mean? How does that affect the reserves? I don't know if we talk enough about that. And I think we need to talk more about that, and that can only help the situation.
But I think we're all under a common understanding that we started off in a deficit because we were using reserves to begin the year. Is that not true?
I understand we're in a deficit, yes.
But we began the year that way. Is that not true?
It began the year that.
Well, that's it. But
In a deficit from last year.
we started with a deficit.
Yeah.
We did. Right? Okay. So we can all agree to that. So let's all just take a breath, I think, and let's focus on this. When we finally close the books, which doesn't happen in a week or a month, Brian we're grateful that he has the experience. He can jump right in even on day 2. The ST3 is a bear. It is the biggest report you're going to find in education, and nobody in this room, including me, has a full understanding of how it works. I bet you, and I won't even ask him because I know Joel still asks questions. He was 5 years in doing it. They still ask questions every year because they change the questions the state wants to ask, right? And they need to justify everything we do. But I can tell you this, we don't have $5 million in surplus. Not even be remotely close to $5 million in surplus. I'm not going to go through all the reasons, and I'm not picking sides. I'm not interested in that. As a matter of fact, it's old at this point. We have to focus on what matters. And here's what matters. Some people are going to still vote no next year. Some people are still going to vote yeah. Some people are going to be on the fence. That's the way life works. And we're going to put together a budget that's reasonable. We have been. Some people don't agree with that. That's fine. That doesn't mean people in this room are going to agree with it, and that's fine too. Everyone needs to advocate for what they want to advocate. You're never going to get consensus in this room moving forward. Just letting everybody know now. I used to live in this town. I love this place. You're not going to get consensus. If you did, 19,000 people will come out or 15,000 people will come out and have a registered vote and they'll vote yes. That's never going to happen. It's okay to have differences of opinion. Where we all cross the line, I'm going to say all, make it general, is when you point fingers at people literally or figuratively. When you sit behind a keyboard and blast somebody, but wouldn't have the courage to go in front of their face and sit down and have a conversation with them, but yet our children do that. Your children, our students do that. And I'm going to end it with this. Never forget one thing. You want to learn about this community? I invite you, and I will take you personally into the cafeteria during periods 4, 5, and 6. And you can watch for yourself what happens. Because they don't choose sides. Yes, they have their cliques, and they should because they're kids. Because adults have their own cliques. The difference is, when someone new walks in the cafeteria, they don't let them hang. They pick them. The first person grabs it, sits them down, and says, "Do you find your own group? Come sit with me." And that's the things we need to keep in mind. Because you're not going to change people from saying yes, no, or I don't know. It's this is the way life is going to be, and that's okay. We have to move past this now. It's enough. But everyone's going to get uptight come March. I wish we wouldn't, but you're going to. Nothing we could do. But you know what you can do? You can model some good behaviors for our students. You're going to go on Facebook. You're going to go on Facebook to be polite. You're going to sit behind a walled garden and blast people. Have the courage to come and sit down with them and say it to their face. Barbara Hafner and I always had an agreement. This is one reason why I respect her. We don't always agree. Lord knows, we butted heads plenty of times.
Never.
But she's lying right now. She's in a good mood. That's fine. I'm all right with that. You've got a beautiful grade. But we always knew we were all fighting for the same thing. And that's for the students. Yes, we're responsible to the community. Some people say, well, we're responsible to the community. No, we're responsible to the children who are school aged in West Hempstead. Our responsibility comes putting together a fiscally responsible budget for them. So therefore, all I ask, I'm going to say the superintendent, I'm going to say to Dan Riemann, a human being who exists as one piece of this puzzle that we call West Hempstead, and you all just take a breath, go home, enjoy some summer, want to have a conversation with somebody, put the phone down, put the Chromebook down, put the iPad down, pick up the phone and ask to have a meeting. I'll go too, and I'll even pay for lunch out of my own pocket, not out of district funds. And we will have a conversation civilly and politely and respectfully. You can get heated, nothing wrong with that. But we need to be polite and respectful to model good behaviors for our pre-K through 12 students that live in the town of West Hempstead. Thank you.
Whatever
Whatever you want. No, that. I love pretty wife to cook better than I do.
Ms. Solzar, I'm
Yeah.
going to go during the period for district
Whatever.
president. So you-
So I know there's been lots of talk around the community about the GoFundMe page that I made. Everyone was
David, you
talking
want to
about.
use the microphone?
Sure.
Easier.
You just got to turn it on.
Thank you.
Hello. I know everyone, there was lots of talk about the GoFundMe page that I made, and everyone has their opinions about why I did it and why I didn't. At this moment in time, I'm not going to repeat that. If people want to ask me personally, I can have conversations with people. But I did want to present to the district the $200 that I donated to it, because I want to make sure that the district does get money, because I do believe that the district does deserve the money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. responsible for that. I'm like, I'm not taking that. That will be on the agenda for, the July 13th meeting. The
Can we
special
accept
meeting.
donations?
No, we'll put it on the special.
Karen, we'll have to accept donations?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great.
So we will put that on the agenda for the board to accept it, and I'm gonna think that we have to vote on it. People can we vote on accepting his own donation. Oh, okay, so you can vote on that. We will just we have a quick special meeting next Thursday, so we'll put it on that agenda so that it'll get accepted and cashed. At this time, I need a motion to move into executive session for advice of counsel and to discuss negotiations.
So that was second.
Just pick one. Pick one, it wasn't.
Everybody's jumping.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful summer. We'll be right back here on August 8th if you feel like you want to come and visit us. No, we moved the meeting from the 15th to the 8th. Oh, we're here next week, literally 5 minutes. We're only here, yeah. I mean, I do come and do stuff, but I don't want to have to leave the house. It'll be quick.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.